If you recall, I started a series called The Best of All Time Fragrances from a Certain Brand. I've already done a Maison Francis Kurkdjian some weeks ago and also did an Amouage 40th Anniversary edition of Best of All Time Fragrances from one house. And today I'm covering Tom Ford's Private Blend collection. So I am going to split up Tom Ford's fragrances. One video for Private Blend, one video for the signature line. So today I'm talking about the best of all time Tom Ford Private Blend collection fragrances. If you want to find out what they are, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's Sebastian. We're talking about Tom Ford's Private Blend collection, the best of all time. And you know, whenever I do these videos, just keep in mind I'm talking about the fragrances that I have in my collection. And if I have them and I speak about them, most likely I like them. So these are the ones that I'm going to talk about. There might be some fragrances out there that are missing. For example, things like Neroli Portofino Forte. Amazing fragrance. I probably would have featured it here in this list. Do not have it. Arabian Wood. Probably would have featured it here. I don't have it. There's other fragrances, but the ones I have are the ones the best of in my collection, and I would consider these the best of all time if I'm putting together a video like this. So before I move on to the fragrances, let me know what your favorite best of all time Tom Ford Private Blend collection fragrances are. And I believe the first time we saw Tom Ford Private Blend collection fragrances was 2007, I believe. I'm not 100% sure on the date, but I believe it was around that time when the Private Blend collection launched. And the fragrances I believe they launched with are still remaining. The one called Oud Wood, Tobacco Vanille, Tuscan Leather, and Noir de Noir, and which I have on the list. I consider them the best of all time from the Private Blend collection, and also figures they're still around, must be the best because people seem to like it, they buy it, and the brand keeps them and doesn't discontinue them. So let's go ahead and get started with the first fragrance. We're starting off with a bit of a feminine angle, and then it's going to get more masculine. So first off, it's Soleil Blanc from the Private Blend collection, the kind of coconutty beachy fragrance. I consider this one of the best from this house. It might be a bit too mass appealing and definitely kind of leans feminine, but I do like my solar fragrances and I do enjoy the beachy, coconutty fragrances. This features Coco de Mer, Benzoin, Tonka, Ylang-Ylang, Jasmine, Tuberose, Bergamot. So it's got a tropical floral vibe, definitely very beachy and solar, and also coconutty, so it could come off a bit suntan lotiony. So Soleil Blanc is definitely a fun fragrance. I do enjoy that quite a bit. Moving on to a more recent fragrance, one of the X-rated fragrances from Tom Ford, and the only X-rated fragrance from Tom Ford. No FF is not in the collection here. I don't consider it one of the best. This is in the end Rose Prick. I feel like out of the four naughty X-rated fragrances, Rose Prick is the best. We'll see how Vanilla Sex is. I did forget to mention I'm going to talk about 3 upcoming releases, which I've already discussed at the end of the video after the outro in the bonus section. Stick around for Vanilla Sex, Oud Wood Parfum, and also Oud Mineral moving into the signature line. But Rose Prick is a rose Chypre style fragrance, and it's very spicy and rosy for sure. It's got kind of green stemmy vibe as well, featuring rose, Sichuan pepper, turmeric, patchouli, Tonka. It's a dry rose, it's a spicy rose, it's a Chypre-like rose. If you guys don't know what Chypre is, it's Chypre it's Chypree, Chypre. I've done several videos on the channel, go find out, but this is that kind of style. I don't consider it very old school Chypre, it's more modern. And it's actually quite good. It's a great smelling fragrance. It came out around the time when a lot of rose fragrances were coming out, more like Chypre style. And I consider this one of the best from Tom Ford with the fragrances that I have in the collection. And I do have quite a bit of fragrances, and I had to go through to make sure I enjoyed ones more than others to put in this list of 12. Let me know if you're a fan of Rose Prick. Do you consider it the best in the naughty collection of fragrances? I would like to find out. So next up at number 10, this is a ranked list, by the way. So we started off with the least, and then we're going to the most. And we have 2 ties in the list as well. But this one is called Champaca Absolute. This one right here. I'm so happy I finally have a bottle of this one. Definitely one of the ones that I enjoyed, but I never bought. You know when you do that, there's so many fragrances out there that you're thinking, am I going to buy this one? This one's expensive. I can't figure out. So I was able to get a bottle of this recently. Somebody was selling a bottle. Thankfully, I have it now. I would call this an amber floral fragrance and also a bit humid. Like it feels like you're in a tropical destination. The flower in here, the Champaca flower, which to me is kind of like a cross between Ylang-Ylang and Jasmine. I kind of get that kind of a smell in here, which is its unique flower, and it comes off very tropical and humid. So when you're wearing this, since it is an amber floral, there's warm notes in here, the fragrance wears like a humid kind of a tropical destination with the flowers blooming in the heat kind of a thing. So it's Champaca, there's Marron, Glace, there's Cognac, vanilla, sandalwood, amber, jasmine, and violets. Definitely a late comer to this fragrance, but I finally have it. I'm planning on this big video on discontinued Tom Ford fragrances. Stay tuned for that. There's a ton out there. They discontinue quite a bit and bring on new ones. And this is definitely sadly discontinued. It is, isn't it? I don't see it selling at much places. Some places might have bottles here and there, but I don't think it's officially selling. So Champaca Absolute, definitely a really nice warm amber floral with that Champaca flower, with the booziness of the cognac, and also that kind of nutty, candied-like quality of the Marron Glace, which is basically candied chestnuts. So the next fragrance duo is a tie, and it's definitely one of the early fragrances that Tom Ford launched. It's still around today. Probably one of the most popular in this series, and I'm tying it with its intense version. So we've got Oud Wood, and we've got Oud Wood Intense. I haven't taken off my little sticker on it, obviously you can see. So both of them are great, and they're both really different. Oud Wood is a very easy to wear oud fragrance, very Western oud. I don't even know if there's really any oud in this, like the real Middle Eastern funky kind, because this is so easy to wear. Definitely has that kind of light funk, but more, like I said, Western style, not animalic whatsoever. It's got oud, rosewood, sandalwood, lots of cardamom in this one, some light vanillic touches, and also Sichuan pepper. Very classy, very elegant, very masculine. Although I think this is very unisex, but it does lean on the masculine side. But definitely I think one of the best, and that's why I've ranked it here at number 9. And let me tell you a little bit about Oud Wood Intense. So Oud Wood Intense is completely different than Oud Wood in that they've gone to the funky side with this one. They've gone full-on animalic with this one, and I know a lot of people do not like this one. But I consider it really great and a very daring fragrance, and if you want a change of pace and you can find a bottle of this, I would go for it, especially if you like animalic fragrances. It features musk, oud, spices, woods, oud, Angelica, Cypress, ginger, juniper, and castoreum. Castoreum is the note here that you gotta be warned about. It does have a funkiness. If you're challenged with animalic notes, stay away. If you're into it, I think you should find this one, because I'm surprised how animalic it is, considering when it came out towards the latter part of the 2010s. So it's quite animalic, and it's definitely worth checking out, especially, like I said, if you're into animalics. But either way, number 9, both Oud Wood and Oud Wood Intense. I definitely consider it one of the best of all time from Tom Ford, considering the fact that Oud Wood is still around since it first launched in the mid to latter part of the 2000s. I consider it definitely one of the best from the house. So that was number 9. We're going on to number 8 with Plum Japonais. Do you have a bottle of this one? I know a lot of people are wishing this would move into the signature collection. We shall see if that happens. A lot of people are also considering, there was a rumor going around that this fragrance was going to move into the signature line. Tobacco Oud. No. Tobacco Oud, no. I wouldn't think Tobacco Oud would, because it's a very challenging fragrance. I think Plum Japonais could or would or should, or maybe it would. But Plum Japonais is definitely one of the best from this house. I did at one time have a big decanter. I went through it. This was way early on when I first started doing this. So, but now I have this bottle. Thankfully, I have a bottle of this, and I do consider it a very spicy, woody, unique take on a plummy fragrance. It's got plums, cinnamon, oud, amber, plum blossom, benzoin, fir, vanilla, cypress. Definitely one of the best from this house, considering what I have here. It smells unique. I like the plum in here. It doesn't come off too fruity. Like sometimes fruity fragrances do go a bit on the girly, feminine side. This one doesn't, and plums for me do definitely have a very unisex appeal, if not leaning masculine, and especially with the notes they have in here, like the fir, the amber, the oud, and the cinnamon. I think this is definitely unisex, if not masculine leaning fragrance, but I think women can totally pull it off. I absolutely love this one, but there are others that I enjoy more. This is Plum Japonais at number 8. At number 9, going to Fougere Platine, this one right here. So around the time of the latter part of the 2010s, Tom Ford came out with 3 Fougeres and a lavender fragrance. So Fougere Platine, Fougere Argent, or is it Ardent? I've forgotten already. It's it's a discontinued fragrance. I've got it upstairs with all my discontinued and vintage fragrances. And there was also Beau de Jour, which moved into the signature line. And then, of course, there was also Lavender Extreme. Lavender Extreme, to me, was not necessarily like a full-on Fougere. Fougere Platine, to me, was the best out of the bunch. It got discontinued. The reason I liked Fougere Platine is it did have the note of Artemisia, which created this booziness, like a green licoricey anise-like booziness that I'm obsessed with that smell in fragrances. That's what I like about this one. This one also had tobacco, though. It's tobacco, clary sage, lavender, artemisia, woods, cedar, basil, bergamot, a bit of honey for some sweetness, olibanum and labdanum. Absolutely love this one. Smells super fantastic. It's gone. It's gone, sadly, and I don't know how much I have in my bottle, but it seems like it's fairly full. Let me know if you're a fan of this one. Let me know if you got into these fragrances from Tom Ford with all the lavender focused ones. You know, they came out with all the green ones. All of those were great. Between the Fougere and the lavender ones, I enjoyed this one. I liked Lavender Extreme, but I felt like Molinard's Lavande was kind of similar. Beau de Jour I really enjoyed as well. Well, that one came into the signature line. But Fougere Platine, I think it was a bit more of a refined, not a refined taste, but like you have to be into like this kind of licoricey note, which I don't think is that popular. So I think this one was not much of a success. I've heard most people enjoy Fougere Ardent or Argent, drawing a blank with that name. I think people appreciate that one more, but between the two, I really love Fougere Platine, and that's why I put it here at number 7. But moving on to one of the early fragrances that I fell in love with from Tom Ford, like way back in 2011, 2012. This is Italian Cypress, but this is the re-release of Italian Cypress, and I feel like it's a bit different than the original, but I'm featuring it here. But before I continue with this, I forgot to mention something at the beginning. If a fragrance has moved out of the private blend and into the signature, stay tuned for the signature list. We will do a separate video with the signature, and those fragrances will be discussed in there. Like Beau de Jour is not here, Café Rose is not here, Ombre Leather is not here, things like that. But moving on with Italian Cypress, it's definitely one of those early Chypre style fragrances. Really, really love it. It reminded me of Halston Z14. I like that about it. It's definitely got chock full of cypress in here. A bit of leather in here as well, but not too much. And that's where it didn't really kind of connect with Halston Z14. But the fact that it has the cypress, it's a bit Chypre-like. And then I think that's what reminded me of Halston Z14, but more of a beefed up Halston Z14 when I first got into it way back like over 10 years ago. Here in this version, it's a bit different. I believe it's, a little changed up, but still smells really, really great. It's cypress, mandarin, Calabrian, bergamot, basil, Iceland moss, Indonesian patchouli, but a super fantastic, really super sexy fragrance. Leaning masculine for sure, but more of like a masculine Chypre style. I think it's also the moss or the oak moss that's in here that creates that kind of Chypre-like smell. Either way, Italian Cypress at number 6. Next, at number 5, I've put another duo of fragrances. And the reason these ended up here versus the first duo of fragrances, because I really enjoy its more intense version versus the original version. And I'm talking about Tuscan Leather Intense. This one right here, once again, I have not taken off the little plastic thing. But let's talk about the original first. This is Tuscan Leather, the original, one of the first fragrances from Tom Ford's private blend collection, I believe came out in 2007. It's been copied so much. It's also been copied by Tom Ford for Ombre Leather, so they're sort of similar, a little different, but sort of similar to me. But this is a really great, super sexy leather fragrance. It's leather with black suede, amber, woods, frankincense, jasmine, a bit of raspberry sweetness and fruitiness, saffron and thyme. It's a great fragrance. It smells a bit industrial, but it's a kind of leather fragrance that's not necessarily kind of old school, like something like Coeur de Russie from Chanel, or Canise 10, which it's got those kind of vintage vibes. This is a very modern fragrance. I think it still smells pretty modern, even though we're going with almost 20 years ago this thing came out. Great fragrance, but I probably would have put this down a bit further. But because Tuscan Leather Intense is super amazing, I've put it here at number 5. Absolutely, really love Tuscan Leather Intense. And once again, we've got a bit of a licoricey vibe here with a Davana note. Really a great note. So it creates this kind of a green booziness, green spicy booziness with the Davana. In addition to the Davana, we've got osmanthus, saffron, leather, cedarwood, papyrus, maybe a bit of a raspberry touch in here as well. But it smells super fantastic. I know it's not around anymore, but if you can get your hands on it and you're into this idea of Davana, something licoricey, absinthe-like, boozy, a bit licorice anise, as I said, definitely check this one out if you can. I know it's, like I said, it's discontinued, but it's a super amazing take on the original Tuscan Leather. So Tuscan Leather and Tuscan Leather Intense, amazing fragrance. Definitely deserves to be here at number 5. And once again, it's because of Tuscan Leather Intense that I put that at number 5, because I really love Tuscan Leather Intense compared to the original. But I'm putting them together because they are both, you know, one after another. So the next fragrance, we're going to the Vert collection. And I only really have one of the fragrances from the Vert collection. There were 4 in that collection. There was Vert de Bois, Vert d'Encens, Vert Fleur, Vert Bohème. All 4 of them were great. If you are into green fragrances, try and figure out a way to get your hand on all of these. My favorite turned out to be Vert de Bois. This one right here, I still have a bottle and I have a backup bottle. This one's very low though. Vert de Bois had that ouzo accord, and if any of you know what ouzo is, there's that licorice anise thing again. Really love the smell and taste of it. And here we've got it against poplar trees, olive trees, mastic, plums, jasmine, woods. Kind of like a Greek green fragrance, right? We've got the ouzo, we've got the olive trees, we've got the mastic in here. What a wonderful fragrance this is. This is super boozy, but on the green side, there's also this experience of a forest floor, the mossiness and things like that. Very unique fragrance. I really love this one, and it deserves to be here at number 4. It's too bad it's discontinued, but, you know, people don't buy fragrances, and of course the brands discontinue them. And so if you really love something, get a backup bottle of it and keep it in a safe place, dark, dry, cold, cool space, so it stays, perfect and doesn't like age and then turn or something like that. But Vert de Bois, if you're into the whole boozy, ouzo, green, licorice, anise, absinthe, then of course you got the mastic and the olive tree in here. Definitely check out Vert de Bois. I think it's amazing. Super amazing. And then we're going back to one of the original fragrances, back to 2007. It's Noir de Noir. Really, I think is one of the best fragrances from this house. This one also has been copied quite a bit. And once again, it's a Chypre style fragrance, but this is a Chypre rose, a dark kind of gothic rose with patchouli, truffle, vanilla, oud, saffron, oak moss, floral notes. There was a time I was wearing quite a bit of this. Compliments galore with this one. Really love it. And also, for me, these fragrances with body temperature, when it heats up, when you're moving around a little bit, projection starts. That's when people start smelling you. That's when people start, wondering what you're wearing and things like that. But super amazing fragrance. It's a really sexy, dark rose. Leans on the masculine side, but again, that's a very unisex fragrance. I absolutely love Noir de Noir. So this Noir de Noir at number 2. And then one of the originals, once again, it's Tobacco Vanille. This one right here. This is a Thanksgiving fragrance for me, but sadly I did not wear it this Thanksgiving. I wore Noem's Soma fragrance, which is a very Thanksgiving-esque fragrance as well. I didn't have access to this fragrance. I was a bit sick also. But this is really great with the tobacco leaf. But they do mention tobacco leaf. I get tobacco ashiness here, like the burnt smoky kind of tobacco. They mention tobacco leaf and tobacco flower, vanilla, cacao, ginger, dried fruits and spices. Yeah, you get this. There's a whole holiday vibe, holiday spicy vibe in this. But it's a super amazing fragrance. It's also quite long lasting. It does have great projection and things like that. And this one also garners me compliments when I wear it. Especially ladies seem to like this one on me, even though it has the tobacco in it. So it's a really great fragrance. Definitely deserves to be number 2. So Tobacco Vanille, best of all time from Tom Ford. And can you guess my number 1? It's Tobacco Oud. Yeah, I had a hard time deciding if it's Tobacco Vanille or Tobacco Oud. I think Tobacco Oud. Tobacco Oud is amazing. I think it's a masterpiece. Although Tobacco Vanille is also, but Tobacco Oud is on the dirty side, and I like that about it. It's a bit kind of rebellious, a bit gangster kind of, it's got all this tobacco and spices and oud whiskey. There's a booziness about it. There's a funk and the sweaty vibe in here with sandalwood and cinnamon, coriander, patchouli. I think it's a really amazing fragrance. The thing about this one, it's still available at discounters, and also it's still selling in the Middle East also like the EU, it's not fully discontinued, at least as of the last time I featured it in a video. I didn't quite check it here, but you can still buy this one. And if you are a fan of it, get it, because we don't know how long this fragrance is going to be around. Again, it's not fully selling here. I saw it at FragranceNet. I'll have it linked in the info box. And it was also selling at Selfridges and Harrods, those of you that are in the, you know, London and places like that. So masterpiece here with Tobacco Oud. It's been around for 10 years. I love it. Definitely deserves to be discussed here at number 1 of all time from Tom Ford's Private Blend collection. Anyway, those are my thoughts on these fragrances. Those are my top 12 private blend fragrances of all time. What do you guys think? Are there anything missing? So there are probably fragrances out there that I don't, you know, I know about and I don't have, so I did not feature them here. But there's a lot of Tom Ford fragrances like Moss Brushes, Plum, Japon Noir. A lot of different fragrances that I don't have that I wish I had. And if I did, I would mention them. But since I don't have them, this is what I have. I consider these the best of all time. But either way, let me know what your favorite or best of all time fragrances are from Tom Ford Private Blend. Put a comment down below. But other than that, guys, thanks so much for watching today. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook. And I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye. But don't forget, I'm talking about Vanilla Sex, Oud Wood Parfum, and Oud Mineral in the Signature Collection after the outro. And thanks so much for sticking around. I already discussed these in a separate video. If you want to find out more information about these fragrances, I have it linked in the info box. But Vanilla Sex is coming out. I believe this is part of the Naughty collection of Tom Ford fragrances, which includes F Fabulous, Bitter Peach, Lost Cherry, and of course a Rose Prick here. Now we're going to get Vanilla Sex. People are already sharing photos of it, and I was one of the first people that discussed it here. Yeah, go catch that video, find out all about it. It's going to be vanilla for sure. It's called Vanilla Sex. Also, Oud Wood Parfum. So we've already had Oud Wood. We've had Oud Wood Intense. Now we're getting Oud Wood Parfum, and it's going to be in the Private Blend collection. So I've never seen a parfum version of a Private Blend collection fragrance, so this is going to be the first time. So I'm quite excited to see what that's going to be all about. And of course the Oud Wood Intense I mentioned earlier is quite animalic. I have a feeling they're just going to intensify the original Oud Wood to make the parfum. What do you guys think? Has anybody gotten their nose on either Oud Wood Parfum or Vanilla Sex? Do let me know. Put a comment down below. Last but not least, Oud Mineral is moving from the Private Blend collection into the Signature line. I know there are a lot of fans of that one, and for me it was an absolute no-no of a fragrance, but throughout time I've gotten used to that fragrance. It's not as fishy anymore. Anyway, I will check it out. I do have some juice that somebody gave me half a bottle of Oud Mineral for free. Yeah, but I have gotten used to it, and I don't hate it as much as I did when it first came out. I couldn't stand the stuff. But either way, those will be coming out, from what I heard from various people in the industry, in January, but most likely the stores will put them out towards the end of December. And sadly, I'll be traveling to Japan at that time. So maybe it'll be out there and I'll get my nose on them over there or when I get back. But either way, guys, thanks so much for watching today. Stay tuned for another video soon. Bye-bye.